Jim's Pudd is a great addition to your Christmas dinner, and it can be served throughout the year as an accompaniment to any meat, turkey, chicken or any poultry meat. And remember, it's more substantial and filling than a basic Yorkshire pudding, and it tastes a lot better and is really a full-bodied addition to any meal. Or you can eat it on its own cold. I really recommend it to you. Right, now then, for the Jim's Pudd, these are the main ingredients. Slice of bread that we'll cut up, and that'll be dissolved in the milk and the water. Medium oatmeal, which adds some body to the mix. Plain flour, just your everyday plain flour. Upto, we use the vegetable suet. Two eggs, you've all seen eggs before, and sage, and the mighty onion. Okay, here we go. So initially we mix the dry ingredients, all the dry ingredients, and then the moist and the onion after that. So we start off with 4 ounces of plain flour, or 100 grams. Right, so that's the plain flour. And now for the medium oatmeal. And with the medium oatmeal, it's 3 ounces or 75 grams. How's that? 75? Can't be beat. And now with the vegetable suet, it's 4 ounces or 100 grams, he said. 100 grams we're aiming at here. Off we go. I'm not a perfectionist, but there we are, 101, that's not far off. And then 2 teaspoons of sage, readily available in your supermarkets. We do 2 tablespoons of sage, more or less, said the man. Give it a sprinkle round, it's going to get mixed anyway. And now just half a teaspoon of salt. I forgot to get this out. Half a teaspoon just to give it that edge. And the last dry ingredients is the bread that I'm going to cut up now into small pieces and add that to the dry mix. It's not critical this, because once they're in the mix and the milk and the moisture, they'll all fall apart hopefully. Just watch your fingers doing this. I'm watching mine. Okay, just scatter that in there. It looks a bit rough and ready, but as I say, the milk and the water will absorb the bread. Easy enough. Okay, nearly there. There we are. And now I'll just give it a mix, just to see what's happening. But as I say, once the moisture gets in, everything will become like an extremely thick porridge. There we are, that spreads the herbs about. And it'll all settle down once the moisture's into it. There we are. It looks a bit rough and ready, but it's a lovely recipe, is this. Really is. The onion's got me. So in she goes. And now for the wet ingredients, which the eggs, the milk and the water. So in go the eggs. Be careful doing this. Just using the back of the blade of the knife, not the front obviously. So in go the 2 eggs, and now we'll give it a messy mix. And we slowly add it to the dry ingredients. Not all at once, just a little by little. At the end of the mix, i.e. including the water, we should have a good thick paste. That's the theory anyway. So there we are, that's the milk and the eggs in. So I'm now going to give them a jolly good mix. Be careful to bring the dry ingredients up from the bottom of the bowl. That's it, we don't want any dry patches on this. There we are. Okay, so we'll leave that for say 5 or 10 minutes if you want, but just to let the bread soak up the moisture that we put in the eggs and the milk. And if it still seems a bit of a dry mix, we'll add water. But that seems quite a healthy Jim's pudding mix, does that, to me. So just leave it for a little while to settle down and absorb any moisture if it needs to. But that's excellent mix, is that? Right, that's the time limit for the mixture to be settled, to let the 5-minute wait with the bread to absorb the moisture. Well, the bread and the flour and everything else to absorb the moisture. And as you can see, we still have a delightful thick paste, as they say. That is perfect, is that? So now it's had a good mix. There's a bit more of it. I'm going to transfer it into the dish in which we'll cook it. So just press it down with a fork as I'm doing. Get it reasonably level, but it will settle itself in the oven. Here we go. The mixture settled into the dish, and by the way, the dish I'm using is 11 inches by 7 and 2 inches deep. This gives you a good thickness of mixture. You don't want a very thin layer of it, you want a substantial thickness to it. So as I say, this is 7 by 11 and 2 inches deep. And the mixture itself, as you can probably see, is a good 1.25 inches deep. So we should get a really good chunky body of Jim's pudding from this. And this is a deluxe Yorkshire pudding. We are from Yorkshire, and we used to have Yorkshire pudding, but this one is a substantial additive to any meal, particularly at Christmas, and you can eat it cold. It's still tasty, it's still very tasty when cold. So there we are. We're ready for the preheated oven, which was aimed at 200 degrees, and we'll put the mixture in. Put the mixture in for 25 to 30 minutes, but it should have a nice golden brown finish when you bring it out. So aim at that. Have a good look at 25 minutes, and if it needs more, give it a 5 minute more. Right, the oven has reached 200 Celsius, so now I'm going to put the mix into the oven. It's on a middle shelf for 25 to 30 minutes. Right everybody, that's 45 minutes now, so out she comes. Be careful because everything's really hot. Ooh. There we are, still bubbly. It should have a lovely golden brown to it on the top there. We'll now let it cool before doing anything with it. Let it cool down a little bit, and then we cut it into sort of 3-inch squares, ready to be served with a meal or just to eat it as it is. But that's how it should look, a lovely golden brown. Right, the Jim's Pud has cooled sufficiently, so I'm now going to cut it up ready for serving. So there's sufficient here for 8 portions. I'm using a serrated knife. You see, that's a bit of onion. Okay, and then we cut it in half yet again. And then in half again, so that's halfway, so we'll cut in half here. It's still quite warm, but as I say, you can still eat it cold. Right, now then, here we go. There we are, look at that. Ring-a-ding, that's superb stuff, is that. I'll have another corner piece. These are the best pieces, really, corner pieces. There we are. What could be better? And brown on top and beautifully golden brown underneath. That is a well cooked Jim's pudding. And that's how I cook Jim's pudding.